Hi, John Messer. Today I'd like to talk to you about how we can engage followers to help them become potentially emerging leaders. Knowing that followers have different styles. There are different kinds of followers. There is no one kind of follower. And so anytime we look at our congregation, we look at any organization, there are different kinds of followers based on two criteria. What I've drawn here is the leader-follower matrix after Robert Kelly. And Kelly identified two major axes by which we can evaluate follower styles. And so the axes are basically whether they're disengaged or engaged in the vision, mission, and values of the church, and thus engaged with the leaders of the church who are carrying out vision, mission, and values. So disengaged or engaged, and then are they critical independent thinkers or are they non-critical thinkers? On those two criteria, we can characterize followers in one of five ways. If they're disengaged and non-critical, we call them passive followers. If they're non-critical thinkers but engaged in the vision, mission, and values, they're conformists. If they're disengaged but critical thinkers, they're alienated. And if they're independent critical thinkers and engaged in the mission, vision, and values of the church, they're exemplary followers. Now there's a fifth category here which remains firmly rooted in the center. Not too disengaged, not too engaged, not too critical and independent, but not too non-critical and non-thinking. These are the pragmatists. Now the pragmatists deserve an entire session all to their own, and so we're going to leave them alone today. But what I'd like to talk about is how could we engage passive, conformist, and alienated followers to help them become exemplary followers, in other words, critical, independent thinkers, and engaged in the mission, vision, and values of the church. Because quite honestly, when we find exemplary followers, these are your emerging leaders. So let's just think through the categories. If you have a passive follower, they're disengaged. They perhaps don't know the vision, mission, and values. Maybe they don't agree with the vision, mission, and values, but they've never been given a voice. They feel like they're not really being listened to, and so they never say anything. They're very nice people. They're not critical. They don't believe that they have the opportunity or the place of saying, well, I don't agree with this, or why that? And so to make a passive follower move toward an exemplary follower, we need to help them find their voice. We need to help them understand the purpose of the vision, mission, and values and help them get engaged. A conformist who's already engaged in the vision, mission, and values, but does not speak up, doesn't ever question, doesn't really believe that they can say, well, Pastor, why do we do this? Or why don't we ever try that? What we need to do for them is help them find a voice. We need to engage them in conversation. We need to help them know that leadership is not a top-down proposition. It is a circular action. It's a process that engages them, and we value their opinions. And so stating an opinion, asking questions is actually one of the best things they can do for the good of everyone. An alienated follower is disengaged primarily from the leaders of the church. Perhaps it's the vision, mission, and values, but more often than not, alienated followers are disengaged because of personalities or interpersonal relationships. So experientially, we know that the first thing we have to do is find out if they have been hurt, wounded, alienated because of something I did, something I said or didn't say, something one of the staff said or didn't say. But it takes the guts, it takes the internal fortitude to go to an alienated follower and be willing to listen to what happened in their story to make them alienated. Now, it could be one of many things. It may be the rare case where they strongly disagree with the vision, mission, or values of the church. They just don't want to leave the church, and so they disengage. In that case, it's a matter of working through that, helping them find what's best for them. But the point of all of this is simply to say that there are reasons that followers fit in these categories, and if we as leaders are willing to engage with them where they are, taking them for where they're at, being willing to acknowledge wrongs, hurts, pains, being willing to acknowledge that maybe they never felt like they had a voice, we can help passive, conformist, and alienated followers become exemplary followers. And when we've done that, we have greatly expanded the leadership pool for our church or our organization. We'll talk more about pragmatist followers in another session. For today, that's it. Thanks.